Hi, marketers. This is Dots, and welcome to the Marketing Leadership Podcast. With me here is Vladimir Botsvadze, mentor at Techstars. Vlad is ranked number one global marketing thought leader by Thinker 360. He is also a top 100 marketing speaker by Engage, mentor at UCLA Anderson, and a Fortune 500 consultant. A lot of uh, accolades there for Vlad. And we're happy to have him here. We will be talking about the high impact digital transformation strategies for growth plans. Guys, you ready? Let's step in. Vlad, it's an honor having you on this podcast. Welcome.
Hi, Dots. Many thanks for inviting me to your podcast, and I'm excited to share my practical insights with you today.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for that. So, do you want to tell us, let's start with you. Tell us about yourself, your background, and how you've come to get all these great awards and accolades.
Yes. I have 15 years of international experience with a proven track record of guiding executives worldwide to initiate change, drive growth, and position brands as market leaders in their industries. I'm recognized as one of the brightest minds in digital, and I continue to play a pivotal role in maximizing top brand success. Based on my strong performance, I'm currently ranked as number one global marketing thought leader by Think360. I serve on the advisory boards of the United States AI
Wow.
Institute, United States Data
Yeah.
Science Institute, and United States Cybersecurity Institute. I'm also a mentor at Techstars, and I have been featured in Forbes, Business Insider, Bloomberg, Yahoo Finance, MarketWatch, Irish Tech News, many renowned media outlets. Last year, I spoke at the Global Marketing Summit, where I was listed as a speaker alongside Professor Philip Kotler. I am also a award judge at Gartner Marketing Communication Awards, and also
Mhm.
at the Webby Awards. I have also become
Oh,
an
Webby.
associate.
Yeah.
Yes, Webby Awards. I'm also an associate member of International Academy of Digital Arts and Sciences in New York City. I share my practical insights with entrepreneurs at Plug and Play Tech Center EMEA, Abu Dhabi SME Hub, Takeoff Istanbul Startup Summit, and I'm also among top 10 Chat GPT thought leaders by Think360. I have been featured in many magazines. Dots, for example,
Mm.
uh, Exelion magazine recognized me as a
Yeah.
transformative
Wow.
leader of the year,
Wow.
and I'm featured in magazines because what sets me apart is my practicality, my long-term thinking, my passion, my patience, and I create great content. So when you are close to your audience, when you share your insights at global summits, and when you care about this business world, so many organizations, startup summits, and accelerators pick my brain. So I'm very honored to give back to inspire entrepreneurs to put customers at the heart of everything they do.
Yeah, I like that. I like that. That is really, really great. I would like to hit on your experience with the startups. Okay. So, and you're very
Yes.
practical, so that's good. From your experience, what are some of your, if you would pick three, learnings that are marketing related, what
Yes.
would those be? And, if they are practical learnings as well, that would be good too as well. So,
Yeah.
what are some of the things you've learned from mentoring startups that are marketing related?
Yeah, I believe that I always talk about unique marketing tactics, that are rarely utilized by entrepreneurs, because I'm a true practitioner, thoughts of my craft, because I was
Mm,
working from 2014 to
mm,
2022 on building my community on Twitter, on Instagram, on LinkedIn, everywhere, because I have capitalized on 15 social media channels to tell my story, So storytelling is a game. Storytelling
mm.
is a game.
Yeah.
Storytelling is a game because, as we know, consumers no longer trust ads because I no longer trust ads because the advertising steals our time. So as you know, 1 out of 3 consumer has ad blockers on their devices. more than 700 million consumers have ad blockers on mobile devices. So it is very tough time for advertising agencies because, as you know, advertising agencies started laying off their workforces because
Mm.
it's tough, you know. But
Yeah,
but you
it's
know,
tough,
at
man.
advertising, yes, it is all about storytelling. And whereas so many people, organizations, startups are not willing to tell their stories on social media, you know.
Mm. Yeah, that makes a
I
lot
mean,
of sense.
the best example,
Mm-hmm.
storytelling, customer centricity, communication is Elon Musk, because Elon humanizes Tesla. Elon directly communicates with millions of followers on Twitter with consumers. You know, do you remember anybody from traditional automakers where their executives directly communicate with millions of followers and consumers on Twitter? I don't know anybody.
Yeah,
True.
they only love to be on CNBC.
Yeah, so they are those, as you know, in every measure, in every industry, executives and directors and are living in their ivory towers, and they are not uh, interested in communicating with their consumers in the digital age. You know, so whoever communicates, whoever is close to consumers, whoever is improving their products through by leaps and bounds through listening to their consumers win in the long term. You know, and
I like
even
that.
if we look at hospitality, we know what an open-minded entrepreneur Brian Chesky is, who is a co-founder of Airbnb, because Brian directly communicates with Airbnb's users on
Yeah.
Twitter. On Twitter,
Mm.
we don't know anybody from hospitality brands
Yeah.
who communicate directly with consumers on Twitter. You know, so as I can say from my experience with working with startups, is that uh, consumer connection is of paramount importance.
Yeah.
Dots.
Yeah.
You need to, when you build a startup, you need to put a human face on your startup. You know, you
Yeah.
need to humanize your startup. You need to connect with your consumers. You need to solve problems. You need to tell your story. You need to think in the long term, you know,
Yeah.
and you need to care about your consumers. It's not about, yes, in traditional marketing, communication was one-way communication, but in digital
Mm-hmm.
age, consumers have voice and consumers have reaction. You know, it's all
Yeah.
about humanizing your brand. You know, but unfortunately, many startups, many top organizations, and even or many establishments, they treat social media like they treated TV, like they treated billboards, and like they treated outdoor media. You know, it's all
Yeah.
about humanizing your brand,
Yeah.
humanizing your brand. You know.
I like that. I like that. And thanks for taking the time to share the details around that. So it's the storytelling, harness your storytelling, harness your brand purpose. Be of help, be in touch with, create a community around your brand, basically. And leadership can, be a part of that as much as possible. I think that's what Vlad is saying here. And also creating great products that work as well is also very, very important. So I really like, again, some of the nice examples that you shared there. Those are very correct too, if I must say. So in moving on to the topic here, while researching this, I came across a Harvard Business Review report that says there are about 4 pillars of digital transformation, and digital marketing is one of them. I think there were a
Yes.
couple. One of them was like tech operations, operationalizing tech, and one of them was new ventures. I can't remember the fourth one now. But of
Yes.
course, it's really obvious to anybody listening here that digital transformation needs digital marketing. We don't need to we don't need to remind ourselves about that. But I would like to explore the capabilities of digital marketing for digital transformation. From your experience, what are the capabilities that you think any business in any sector, regardless of the size, should be thinking about? You know, while in order to get to a point whereby they have a high digital maturity, or you have a high digital transformation, um, and that's just using digital marketing as the tool, as the I guess the driver. What are some of the examples of things
Yes,
that you've seen that brands use?
yes. Thoughts. The first is building a great experience. Because customers tell each other, and word of mouth is very important. Second is
Mm,
being consumer centric.
mm,
Being consumer centric allows you to be more trailblazing.
mm,
Third is reinventing yourself, because so many
mm,
brands stand still, don't
mm,
evolve,
mm.
lose market share. They forget consumers in the digital age,
Yeah,
and they go out of business. They go out of business. But we know that Amazon has always reinvented itself, because Amazon is very consumer centric.
yeah.
Fourth, fourth is being experimental. Being
Mm,
experimental. Jeff
mm,
Bezos said that if you double the number of experiments you do per year, you are going to double your inventiveness. It's very
mm.
important to push experiment. Your brand, your startup should become experimental. Experimental.
Mhm.
And the last I think the last point is being patient. Being patient, because
Mm,
so many entrepreneurs you up, and building a great experience, and getting closer to your consumers, and becoming consumer centric takes time. Takes time. So if
just to stop you there. Why do you think businesses are so impatient? Why?
because they think that they don't bear in mind that Rome was not built in a day. They bear in mind that they don't take one step at a time. They want fast results. That we need
Yeah,
to bear in mind that Rome was not built in a day, and we need to take one step at a time. We need to keep our shirt on. We need to show more patience.
yeah,
If building a great community, it's not about building a great following on social media. It is all about building a great community. We need to bring
yeah,
consumers together. We need to bring
yeah.
consumers together.
I
So
like
I
that.
think
Yeah.
the great example is Harley Davidson. Harley Davidson has a community, Harley Owners Group. So 700,000 riders go to Sturgis in South Dakota to uh,
That's
attend
it.
festival.
That's a huge number. Yeah, but you're right.
Yes. So just imagine,
I almost
because
feel I almost feel every brand
those
should find hobbyists, you know?
yes, yes. So those it's all about emotional connection with consumers. Emotional connection. Nike
Yeah,
Nike has emotional connection with consumers.
yeah,
Harley Davidson has emotional connection with its consumers.
yeah,
Starbucks has emotional connection with its consumers.
yeah,
Airbnb has emotional connection with its consumers. Apple has emotional connection with its consumers. There are only a few brands that have emotional connection with their consumers, because whereas majority of brands are transactional. They send you sales pitches on social media what they are selling instead of providing value.
yeah, yeah. I like that. I like that. And I like you provide too many examples, man. I really, really like all the examples that you
Thank you,
shared.
thank you,
So
thank you,
that's
thank
really
you,
great. Now,
thank you.
um, I want to ride on that impatience point. Another issue is
Yes,
that brands
yes,
they want to lead their market, right? They want to take market
yes,
share. They say if you take at least 35% market share, you are good. If you can go
yes,
higher and become a monopoly, is a good problem to
yes,
have. But here's the problem:
yes,
they are too scared to leap. They are too scared to take the leap of faith. They are too scared to expand, right? So, as a marketing emperor like yourself, if you're okay with
yes.
me calling you that, how do you assist them, whether it's CMOs or CEOs? How do you assist them in initiating change that is marketing related? The kind of change that is
Yeah.
able to drive growth, the kind of change that is able to position the brand, properly and get them to where they want to be.
Our industry is short-term transactional. Dots. Short-term transactional. They don't think in the long term. They invest 90% of their marketing money into traditional marketing channels that no longer provide positive ROI, and if they applied those money to actual consumer on social media, they would get a bigger ROI.
Hmm. Hmm. I like that. I like that. They think so. Is it sometimes ROI as well? It depends on when when the ROI comes, right? So I guess that ties into what you said about patience. So
It's
whenever
patience,
so
and advertising steals our time. Even when I see 5 seconds video on YouTube, I no longer trust and believe those ads,
yeah,
because
yeah,
every advertising is the same,
yeah, yeah. It's all
it's the
very
same. So
buy my
dots
stuff.
storytelling is why Nike is Nike. Storytelling is why Apple is Apple. Storytelling is why Tesla, Elon Musk has built Tesla.
Mm,
Storytelling is why Richard Branson has built huge businesses, because Richard
mm,
Branson is one of the greatest storytellers we have in this
mm,
day and age. So I
mm,
believe that every entrepreneur should become the face of their brands, because we are no longer in a B2B or B2C. We are in age to age, where human
yes,
beings
Brian Kramer.
want.
Yeah.
Yes, yes, where human beings want to do business with human beings, not businesses. So we trust our neighbors, we trust our colleagues, we trust our friends, we trust our, community.
Mm,
We no
yeah.
longer trust those logos, those mottos, and it's
Mm,
it's all about building a huge personal brand nowadays. Personal
mm,
branding is a be all and end all dots, because
yeah.
personal brand is what puts you on the global map.
Yeah. Interesting stuff. So it's w- I know that you say a lot about the customer, and that's good,
Yes,
but also businesses need to make money. So
yes,
how do you work with businesses who are doing marketing campaigns? How do you help them to fuse in both the corporate strategy and the customer strategy together in a way
yes.
whereby everybody wins at the same time? Do you have maybe a process or a methodology or a way that you think businesses should be thinking about that?
Yes. So, uh, social media content creation, along with OTT, Netflix and Hulu, are the most dominant consumption tools in our society. You know?
Mm, mm,
It's all about content creation nowadays to win consumers' attention. Content creation is a game. Dots. Content creation. They are wasting billions of dollars on advertising, where consumers no longer trust billboards. Consumers no longer watch TV commercials. Consumers no longer see banner ads. They are literally living in their ivory towers. I'm sorry, but they are living. They
Yeah,
don't want to
I was gonna
capitalize.
comment. I was gonna comment on that ivory towers. That's a good one. Not glass towers, ivory. Go ahead. Go ahead with your
So
thoughts.
I'm sorry. It is now or never to tell your stories through social media. And what
Yeah,
was happening before the internet, right? Because every
yeah,
brand was pushing their message on billboards, on TV, outdoor, on the
yeah,
radio, because they were
yeah,
not in communication with their consumers. And
yeah,
it is social media. It is the first time in the history of marketing and communication where consumers have a voice and a
yeah,
reaction. You know
yeah, yeah.
just imagine that consumers have a voice. Consumers tell each other. Word of mouth is of paramount importance. So we need to humanize our brands. We need to tell our stories. We need to create content. We need to position our brands as a media company. We need to be in the publishing business. We need to imagine that we are Forbes, Bloomberg, Guardian, and like a top publisher, not a media company, not advertiser, because
yeah,
majority of marketers are advertisers and salespeople, because they are oriented on short-term success. That's why they only concerned about what happens in the next 3, 5, 10 months, instead of what happens in the next 5 years, next 10 years, next 20 years.
I like that. I like that. And you have a lot of passion for that as well. What people call demand generation these days is basically what Vlad is saying people should get into. but from a brand perspective, not demand generation from. Well, I mean, you could
It's all
include
about
some.
dot. It's all about building a brand in the long term. It
Yeah,
is all about building a brand. So when I work with the top brands, I inspire their executives to become consumer centric, to tell their stories, to create content, and to think in the long term instead of thinking in the short term and medium term. Thinking in the long term is a game.
I like it. And you're very right about that. I think people are starting to change now. The only problem is that marketers usually overdo everything. So if you say go right, they will go to the far right. Go left, we go to the far left. But let's see how demand generation takes us, in the next couple of years to the decade. Guys, I've been enjoying this. I hope you are enjoying this as well. It's been awesome. You can feel the passion. You can see all the nice examples that have been shared. Please, review the podcast, if you haven't already. It's the Marketing Leadership Podcast. Before I ask Vlad the last question, we're going to take a quick commercial break from our sponsor just for a few seconds. And when we are back, we'll be taking Vlad through the dots rapid fire and then continue with the episode. Don't go anywhere. Stay with us. Welcome back, guys. So, the Dutch Rapid Fire, if you've been a fan of this podcast, is a virtual marketing court of law where Vlad is going to tell us the truth and nothing but the truth. Are you ready, Vlad?
Yes, of course.
Okay, good. Question number one. What is your best marketing KPI? I know KPI, and I don't want to hear sales or revenue.
Oh, well, it's all about, for me, KPI is how many consumers care about my brand.
Hmm. So basically, advocates. You are looking for
Yes,
customer advocates.
yes.
I
It's all
like I,
about it's building brand equity, building a brand equity.
I like brand equity is also a great KPI as well. Many people in the West don't know that. I'm like, you don't know what brand equity is? It's almost the same as
It, it
your
is it is all about
market equity.
yeah. So it's all about building a great brand because building a great brand is what sets you apart. Even if you build a personal brand or even corporate brand, or even startup is going to be a huge brand. It's all about thinking in the long term. It's all about getting closer to your consumers. It's all about telling your story, improving your product, humanizing your brand, putting a human face over your brand, and thinking in the long term. It's all about branding in the long term.
Yeah, I like that. Okay, second question. How long do you use social
Yes.
media every day?
Well, I was really working 16 hours a day from 2014 to 2022. Just building and erecting my social media channels. It has taken a lot of hard work, because I was working like 9 hours a day on Twitter. Because I have sent 123,000 tweets. I have posted more than 60,000 times on Instagram. Insane. So I'm a social
What?
media machine. I'm a social media machine.
What? Wow, that's I'm mind blown. That is awesome. Like,
Yeah.
of
So
course,
no
this year
excuses.
I started doing it as well. I've
But
been posting
so
a couple of times a day.
I have truly sacrificed my life in order to build my authority, my
Yeah,
thought leadership, my
yeah.
personal brand. So
Wow.
so if you truly put your heart and soul into building something meaningful, then results will come.
Yeah. Wow. Wow. I am truly inspired by that. Okay, good. Last question. What is your favorite marketing quote?
Oh, okay. Favorite marketing quote. Uh, if you double the number of experiments you do per year,
Oh, you
you
said
are
that
going to
before.
double.
Jeff Bezos,
Yes,
right?
you are going to double your inventiveness. And it is amazing because experiments are part and parcel of marketing.
Yeah.
because even if we create content and we push experimentations, if we build our brand and we send a trial balloon regarding trying new things, it's all
Mm.
about every I think innovation comes from experimentation, you know.
Yeah. I love it. Okay, great. Before I let you go, final question as we wrap up here.
Yes,
Um, in terms of the digital innovations, high impact digital innovations that is changing the face of marketing, what
yes,
are some of the ones that you like most? For example, for me, I like stuff around interactivity or interactive experiences. You mentioned something about customer experience, and there are also maybe some other things like automation or whatever. But can you tell us what are your own favorite high impact innovations that is changing the shape of marketing as we know it? There is one I
I
think you
think
must mention. Otherwise, this episode will
yes,
not be complete.
yes, I think just do it commercial by Nike has changed Nike's business, you know.
Mm,
So because it has Nike collaborates with top athletes to tell the best stories, you know. How you overcome your challenges, have you achieved greatness, you know, have you made an impact on the world. Nike has great messages, you know, that we can get inspired by, you know.
mm. I like that. In terms of the tech on the tech side, what are some of the innovations that you're seeing?
In terms of tech,
Mm,
well, I think I was truly I'm inspired by every major corporation that has that creates content, because I'm in marketing. I'm a storyteller, and I always check out as a even ever judge, or even as a marketer, as a thought leader, which brands create great content, you know. So
yeah.
Ericsson, for example, in Stockholm, a big telecommunication company,
Mm,
has amazing podcasts, you know, like AI
mm,
podcast, IoT podcast, a 5G podcast. That is how they this huge brand reinvents itself through creating content, collaborating with influencers,
yeah.
telling stories, you know, acting as a media company instead of as an advertiser, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think I can say this. We help Siemens with their podcasts at Content Allies. So
Yes,
that
because
is
I think
good.
there are 5 million podcasts in the world, you know, and
Mm,
more than 70 million podcast episodes.
mm,
I think that 22% of people listen to podcasts while driving, and
mm,
Scandinavian countries
mm,
have the highest podcast penetration rate. You know,
mm.
and more than 470 million people listen to podcasts worldwide in
Yeah.
2023. Just imagine, more
Yeah.
than
Yeah.
450 million people.
We are in the game. We are
You are in
we
the
are
game. You are ahead of the
exactly.
game.
We are
You
ahead
are
of the
ahead
game.
of the game.
Exactly.
Good.
Those stats make me feel very excited.
Yeah. A person, just imagine that a person spends 6 hours and 38 minutes surfing the internet daily. You know,
Mm, mm,
a person spends 2 hours and 26 minutes using social media per day,
mm.
and a person spends 1 hour and 2 minutes listening to podcasts
Wow. Yeah.
per
Mm,
day, and a person spends 1 hour and 37 minutes listening to music streaming services per day. Just imagine that we are in a streaming economy, those streaming economy, you
yeah.
know.
We are. Yeah. I know. I know. I know. And that's why content creation is really, really, really important and building a brand using those channels. So that's very, very great.
Absolutely, absolutely,
Yeah.
because advertising steals our time, and nowadays the question is, how does your brand stand out in a noisy digital marketplace, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. Advertising steals our
So
time. You've
it's
mentioned that
very
like 10
important
times
nowadays.
already.
Yes, yeah. So if you create great content, your brand stands out 100%, you know.
I love it. I love it. I really, really love, you. I know we could go on and on here, but we are at time. But I love the way the stats, even the stats you put up, the examples you make, some of the, I guess, the things that you emphasize on, and the fact that you didn't even mention AI at all, even though this is a topic around digital transformation for marketing. That's because people talk too much about AI, and AI can even defeat storytelling in a way. So that was what I was hoping you will not mention AI. So thanks for doing that. You
Dots,
are an
just
expert for
imagine,
sure.
dots,
Yeah.
just imagine, just imagine that copywriters will not be in high demand in the future because AI will be doing what copywriters are doing nowadays. But
Yeah.
if you are a marketer and if you build a great personal brand, you will you will still be in high demand because you have emotional connection with your clients and consumers. You will be still in high demand because of personal branding is in the
Yeah.
age of AI and automation. And you know that 85 million jobs will be replaced by AI by 2025, and
Yeah.
39 million Americans could lose their jobs by 2030. Just
Wow.
imagine that AI
Jesus.
will take so many people's jobs.
Yeah. We get that. It's stuff around AI. God, if you're listening, just um, you know, just be innovative and inventive, like we have said in this topic. Vlad, premium marketing wisdom. By studying you, all these numbers were coming from your head. So thank you so much for sharing. Where can future marketers find you so that you can get more of that following, and you can post less?
They can, yes, they can check out my website at vladimirbotsvadze.com. They can also connect with me on LinkedIn, or follow me on Twitter at Vlado Botsvadze, and also, last but not least, follow me on Instagram at Vladimir Botsvadze. So let's connect and build great things in the future.
Absolutely. Guys, that's all we have for today. Won't take much of your time. If you want to see more episodes like this, it's at dotslovesmarketing.com. Don't forget to subscribe to the Marketing Leadership podcast on Apple and Spotify and YouTube. Just search Marketing Leadership. I'd like to thank Desk Creek and Content Allies for their support. Also, don't forget to check out my new venture. It's called the Listen Network. If you want to boost your podcast with paid media campaigns that are measurable, reach out to me, reach out to us, and we can help you. Till next episode, connect the dots.
Thank you for listening to the Marketing Leadership Podcast, brought to you by Dots Loves Marketing. There will be links to any resources mentioned in today's show notes. If you enjoyed this episode, please leave a 5-star review and be sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode.